Checking in, Mr. Houseman?
Yeah, I absolutely am. I'm really excited because on this week's podcast, I have Anthony Melchiorri of Hotel Impossible. I can't wait.
Oh, that's great. Is he starting a new show called Podcast Impossible?
Do you live, eat, and sleep the hotel industry? Looking to brush up on your game? You've come to the right place. Welcome to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glen Houseman.
Start. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the No Vacancy podcast with me, Glen Houseman. I'm absolutely delighted to have you here once again. And I got to tell you, we are kicking off 2017 in a great way. And I know that today is going to be an awesome show. Really looking forward to you all hearing the interview that I have coming up with Anthony Melchiorri of Hotel Impossible. That will be immediately following this. But before we get into that, I've got to ask you guys to please like us, give us 5 stars on iTunes, and be sure to reach out to us at Travelin Glen on Twitter and let me know what you're thinking, what you want to do, and all of that kind of good stuff. Before we get started, I want to say hello to my co-host for today, Mr. Jeff Polly. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Glenn, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, loving being able to do the show, loving when we have a chance to talk. Although I gotta tell you, Jeff, there's a lot of things out there that are starting to really bug the heck out of me. And I've been holding back, but I'm not really sure I can any longer there, Jeff.
Yeah, well, we always like to hear your opinion, don't we? Sometimes, maybe.
Yeah.
I think.
I'm sure people love hearing my opinion, especially my wife. Every time I open my mouth, I just get zip, zip, zip it. So not really well received at home, but when I'm not home, I'm doing a little bit better.
Yeah, well, that's why you started the show, so you can voice your opinion and no one can say anything about it.
That's right. You guys could vote silently by turning it off, but I know you're going to want to keep listening to the show week after week. And let me tell you, please tell your friends about it. Have them go to iTunes. Have them go to the Google Play Store. Have them go to Stitcher and listen to the No Vacancy podcast. All right, so, Jeff, one of the things that's really been bothering me a lot these days is I'm not really convinced hoteliers fully understand what's happening in the way that society is changing and just how much mobile is changing the way that we interact with brands on a day-to-day basis. Really pissing me off. And I bet you're finding that you're changing the way you interact with brands. Isn't that right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I used to be, for first and foremost, I used to be brand loyal, completely die-hard brand loyal, and now I'm switching more over to what's convenient, what's quick. I don't necessarily plan ahead as much as I used to, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And you know what? Loyalty is, I think, officially dead. And I hate to say this to all my hotel friends out there, all my partners within the business, but I'm saying this for the good of you. And all you road warriors out there and other folks that are listening to this show that enjoy leisure travel, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There is still a select group of people that like to focus on one hotel company, be it Marriott, be it Hilton, be it IHG, and put a lot of their room nights there. But increasingly, most of us aren't really thinking that way. And the way that brands are connecting with guests is just all wrong. Jeff, I keep getting these emails all the time from hotel companies that don't seem to have any understanding of who I am as an individual, and the technology is certainly out there for them to get to know me better. I mean, after all, if I'm sitting on Facebook and I click on an ad for an indoor water park, the internet serves up indoor water parks to me all day long, it seems, for weeks at a time. The hotel brands, I stay with them, I give them my personal information, I eat in their hotels, I take activities when I'm at their resorts. I do all of these things, and then they can't seem to understand who the heck I am. For example, I got an ad recently from a major hotel company promoting one of their select service brands in Paramus, New Jersey. And they were going to give me
that seems like a nice place to stay.
a great place. I love the people of Paramus. No offense to my Paramus crew out there. Woot, woot. I know who I'm talking to. All right, I don't know anyone in Paramus, but I like to believe I do. All right, and they're giving me this great opportunity to stay there from a Thursday to Sunday night at a discounted rate. Do they not know that I live in the New York City region? Do they not know that I've never stayed at that particular brand before? Do they not know that I have no interest in staying in New Jersey? What is New Jersey going to do for me? It's not going to do a darn thing for me because I'm a New York guy. I live on Long Island, and I'm certainly not going to go to an average select service hotel that's not one river away, but a river, an island, and another river away, which means I got to get in my car. I got to fight Long Island Expressway traffic. I got to get through Manhattan or around Manhattan all the way to get to Paramus. It's not doing more for me. I'd be more excited if it was a deal to go to Secaucus, New Jersey, where WOR Channel 9 was located, and maybe get to see some of the old TV programs back in the day. I'd love to do that, but that's not happening because it's 2017, not 1987. So, guys, you got to get on board. You got to figure out how to connect with us. Jeff,
correct me if I'm wrong, Glenn. Let's just say that you were looking for that staycation type of experience. I would say that you, being from Long Island, would rather to see a nice deal or a good deal from a place in Long Island itself, somewhere that's 20 minutes away or 30 minutes away or something like that. And if they use the right algorithms and the right search content, they could figure out where you live and present that deal to you.
Yeah, that's right. Because you have to understand me as a customer, what I want, where I want to go, and how I want to experience a hotel brand. So doing things like giving me offers for a hotel that I'm not interested in, and a place that I have never cared to go to, isn't going to do me any well. The other thing that they're doing, Jeff, that I see these days is they want to give me double and triple bonus points at a lot of hotels. Not a single hotel that I would ever go to in locations that nobody cares about. So why are you hitting me up with an offer that's just going to turn me off? I get the feeling that I get these offers week after week after week for hotels that I'm never going to go to, and it starts to, in aggregate, make it that I don't even want to look at any of the communications they're giving to me. So in the end, I start to shut off the brand. I start to not want to have anything to do with that brand. And the way that I'm researching travel is starting to change too. And Jeff, I bet that you out there book travel in a different way. Now, Google has come up with a trend called micro moments. Have you heard about this at all?
A little bit, yeah.
So the micro moments, and very thoughtful commentary there, by the way, Jeff. I like that one.
You asked me if I'd heard about it.
I know.
What do you want
me? It's funny because I know you always have a lot of good stuff to say, but it reminds me of those conversations that I have. A little. Let me peel back the curtain here on how my life kind of works. When I do interviews with a lot of people, I get great response. It's a good give and take conversation. But every once in a while, you have a really hard time breaking through. And no matter how you ask the question, no matter how you give them the answer within the question, when you ask them the question, they still don't respond. So that makes me laugh. I know that you're never like that. You always have lots of insights to say, but I just had to say that. All right. So anyway, back to Google micro moments. So the way that we're interacting with brands is different, and Google is calling that micro moments. For example, Jeff, when you used to plan, like, say, a vacation, I know you like to go to Costa Rica a lot, for example, and you've been to Europe a number of times. 15 years ago, 10 years ago, you probably sat at that desktop computer, and what you would do is you would hang out for several hours, research, learn about that market, and really absorb a lot over a period of time. Then what would happen?
I have a really funny story about that, actually, and I'm going to interject and make a comment on it.
Go for it.
But about 15 years ago, my wife and I went to Ireland for her first trip out of country. And literally, we had planned this thing so meticulously, and she was so ready for this trip that she had a 3-ring binder full of every little piece of information that we had done beforehand, our reservations for the hotels, that kind of thing. And yeah, you're right. That just doesn't happen anymore. We are, my wife and I joke about it all the time that, she used to carry around a 3-ring binder, and now she will literally book a hotel the day she lands in the airport of wherever she's going and just find the best deal of a known brand that she knows to be a good place to stay and book it right there.
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about. The way that we research travel now is starting to change dramatically, and you're talking a little bit different about going on a vacation versus maybe being in a city for a business type of event. And I know a lot of people that are booking last minute one. So essentially micro moments, and Google is saying that 87% of people have their smartphone at their side day and night. And Jeff, do you know how many times the average person checks their phone every single day?
I would say 50 to 60.
You are so wrong. Thank you for saying a number that's lower than what I'm going to say, so that way we could wow everybody out there. It's 150 times per day on average. And that's not just reflexively panicking to look at it. It's about taking a few seconds here and there to look at something, to read something, to learn something as we go. For example, if I am planning that big trip for our family that's coming up, and we're toying with the idea of going to Israel next summer, if the political situations allow for us to feel like we're going to travel safely. So I'm not sitting here at my desktop. I'm not looking at my laptop. I'm not even sitting with my iPad thinking about Israel. But I'm thinking about it on the commuter train. I'm thinking about it when I'm online at the DMV. I take my phone, I take a look at it, and I research things in little short bits. Tight little moments that really gets me to understand a little bit here and there. And when a trip is approaching, I'm more likely to research those travel products in those itty bitty tiny morsels. Sometimes I'll read a hotel review. Sometimes I'll look at some consumer created social media content. Sometimes I'll look at local offers that are being pushed directly to my smartphone. But in all, it's a very new and different way. And what the major hotel brands are not getting, I don't think, what they're not really understanding is that loyalty is really about the brand trying to find ways for me to want to be loyal with you, not just taking for granted an undying loyalty I have for you guys. Listen, my preferences and purchases are being shaped in the moment at all times, and the brands that are going to be most successful are going to be the ones that are going to understand that the way that we do things now allow for immediate action because we have that smartphone in our pocket. And when we want to buy something or learn something, we're going to do it immediately. And that demand for something to be relevant at every single moment throughout my journey. So don't send me offers to hotels that I'm not interested in or don't care about. You need to get to know me as a customer and anticipate what I'm going to want to do, where I'm going to want to be, and how you can help understand this. The other thing that I don't think they really get when it comes to this loyalty thing, Jeff, is They think that I'm going to pick their hotel. I'm not going to pick their hotel. I'm picking a destination where they have one of their hotels in there, and I might choose to stay at that hotel depending on how the brand relates itself to my lifestyle, to reviews, and to what I'm hoping to get out in that particular trip. So the whole idea of being brand loyal is really being thrown out the window at this point. Think of it this way. Just because I'm going in a couple of weeks to Los Angeles for a hotel industry financial conference, I'm going to be staying at a hotel for a very particular reason. But when I'm going to be going to go see, I don't know, a family reunion in some other city, I'm certainly not going to be staying in that same type of hotel and wanting to spend that same kind of money, and I'll have a completely different set of expectations for that trip. So essentially, brands, you need to stop shoehorning us into ways that you think we need to behave and understand that 82% of people are making purchasing decisions in the moment. that 62% of people are using smartphones and connecting to hotels in order to solve unexpected problems in the moment. I think another way to think about this, Jeff, is back in the day, let's go back to the 90s again, when your wife had that binder going on. You, me, hanging out in a bar, having a disagreement over some specific fact. We might be able to argue about that all night long, right? Have a lot of fun doing that back in the day.
Yeah, and no one would know if we were right or not or wrong.
No, and it would be fun. Now, anytime you put up a fact, even in our new era of facts don't seem to count anymore, the truth is you have this computer in your pocket that knows everything, the whole history and understanding of all the knowledge that we've had in aggregate and all of mankind is there. So if we're going to have an argument over something really relevant to our lives, like the on-base batting percentage for a player in the major leagues, we can get that information right away. And for the record, neither Jeff nor I care about baseball whatsoever. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the world is changing. It's accelerating the way that brands want to, the way that brands should interact with their customers. And you folks in the hotel business need to figure out this new way, and you better do it quickly because loyalty has been eviscerated. The way that people want to stay with you is inexorably changing. And if you keep doing the same things that you were doing over the last 15 years, well, somebody's going to beat you to the punch. And that's really, I think that's all I got to say. Jeff?
I would point out that, loyalty is just, you're right. In my opinion, it's just a fading thing. And the important thing is for a brand, to me, is you have to educate the people that don't know about your brand. Someone like myself, a traveler like myself, I know almost every single brand out there in the hospitality industry. I know this hotel and that hotel and what to expect from here and what to expect from there, which one has the better beds and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't live and die by the brand anymore. I literally live and die by the deal that I can get at the time that I'm looking for it, whether it be 2 days from my stay or whether it be 3 months before my stay. I'm looking at that deal and I'm saying, I know this brand and I'm going to make this decision based on price because this brand has this price that may be a better deal or may be a worse deal. And that's it. That's why I pick to choose to stay where I stay now.
Yeah, that's right, Jeff. And, again, it's changing, especially when you throw in the notion of independent hotels and boutique hotels that seem to have a better idea of how people want to have an experience when they're on property. So there's no reason for me to stay at that big box hotel in every single city that I go to when, as a consumer, I'm driven by experience, a sense of authenticity, and only respond to hotels that are in a specific neighborhood that I want to be in, at the specific price I want to pay, and the hotels that are going to give me a specific vibe for how I feel while I'm on site. It's not about you having a great looking chair. It's not about you having a comfy bed. It's about how you make me feel when I go to that hotel. And that truly is the new paradigm for luxury. How are you going to make me feel? I want to feel great all the time. And you, brand, you're going to do that. Simply because you have a flag on your building with a certain name on it no longer means that I'm going to stay at that property or another one specifically in your family of brands. Again, a little caveat, this does not have to necessarily deal with the folks that are hardcore business travelers that need to get those points, but for the rest of us, that's truly what matters. Jeff, we're going to be talking to Anthony Melchiorri coming up here in just a minute or two. And one of the things that I find fascinating about him, and he really is playing into this new world, is he focuses solely on independent hotels. Half the hotels in this country, I think, don't quote me on this number, are independently focused properties. And the issue is, how do these hotels really get to be the best they can? One of the things that surprises me, and we'll get into this a little bit in that conversation with Anthony, is how come there are so many unsophisticated operators are there? What are their motivations? How can he actually go in there and help these people be more successful? And why on earth are so many people resistant to this help? It's what I find really funny about all of these types of shows, Hotel Impossible or the other hotel-focused shows, or even more specifically the restaurant shows. I never understood why a lot of people go on these programs to get chastised and abused, but Anthony takes us through that, and I think you're going to find what he has to say absolutely fascinating. Jeff, anything else that you want to add at this point?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head with brand loyalty and the trend that it's going today. And, I'm excited for the upcoming interview for Hotel Impossible. I think it's a super interesting subject.
Yeah, speaking of super interesting subjects, I want to talk to you for a moment about the California Lodging Investment Conference. It's coming to Orange County on Thursday, March 9th, and this is the only conference that's focused exclusively on the California hotel market. Now, I know a lot of you developers out there and a lot of you financial guys out there are based in California. After all, in the United States, California, I believe, is the fifth largest economy in the entire world. So going to a conference such as this, which again is taking place on March 9th in Orange County, clickconference.com, that's C-L-I-C conference.com, is, there's only one C in there, CLIConference.com, so CLIconference.com is the best way for, to really learn about what's happening within that market. My buddy Craig Sullivan, who you may know from other episodes of this show, has launched this show, and I'm really excited. I'm going to be participating in it as well, Jeff. I'm going to be doing a panel over there, and I'm really looking forward to hearing about how people can invest in the California hotel market, how they might be able to get money to create these new hospitality products, the overall market overviews, trends, and forecasts that are going to be going in there. So this may not apply to you road warriors, but if you're an owner, operator, investor, broker, developer, lender, a management company, or brands, or even attorneys, architects, engineers, designers, CPAs, all of that stuff, make sure you come on down, come see me, come see all the folks that are going to be at this show and make a deal that's going to make your life a lot better. So again, attend the California Lodging Investment Conference. Go to CLIconference.com and hit, with a click of the button, you'll be able to enjoy the conference as well. All right, after this commercial break, we're going to be speaking with the one and only Anthony Melchiorri. I urge you to stick around. I think you're going to love the conversation, and I can't wait for you all to hear it. Make sure after you're done listening to this great conversation, drop me a line on email, glen@rouse, ROUSE.media, and on Twitter @Travelin Glen. You could also find me there on Instagram, on Facebook, and, hey, wherever hospitality people need to be. That's where I am. Find me on LinkedIn. Say hello to me there. Love to talk to y'all. All right, guys, thanks for listening, and we will be right back after this message.
Have a question for your host, Glenn? Tweet him now @Travelin Glen. No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast. We'll be right back.
Hey, everyone. This is Jeff from Endpoint Multimedia. You've heard me on the show give off lists of great travel tips and spots. Well, now I'm going to give you my super secret beach vacation spot. Villas Hermosas is just steps from the beautiful beach of Playa Hermosa in Costa Rica, which is close to Santa Teresa and Malpais. I've personally been going to Villas Hermosas for 7 years now, and the owners Brad and Tara treat their guests like friends. And no matter what your interests are, they'll lead you in the right direction. The reason I love this particular part of the country is that the southern Nicoya Peninsula is more untouched and raw than some of the more well-known tourist destinations of Costa Rica. But don't let that ruggedness fool you. You can be pampered as much as you'd like at Villas Hermosas, and the restaurants in town are simply amazing. So whether you're looking for true solitude, an adventure vacation with zip lining and quad tours, or a great surfing destination with super consistent waves, Villas Hermosas is my personal recommendation. Check them out, villashermosas.com, and let them know you heard about them from us. Enjoy the rest of the show.
that makes one of us. So, I like we're just rolling into these things. And one of the things that I really like to think about, and I have Anthony Melchiorri, host of Hotel Impossible, on my show, and I'm so lucky to have him here with me. Anthony, I'm running in a different universe than the people on your show, right? I'm there. I feel like I'm entrenched and I'm in the zone and talking to hotel owners all the time, but I'm realizing they're a different type of owner than I see on your show, and I'm starting to feel like I'm with these people that are well-schooled in hospitality on one end, but I'm totally ignoring a whole group of people on the other end, and those are the folks I'm seeing every week dealing with you on TV. So where are they coming from, what it's like, and, man, what's going on with these folks?
Well, first of all, let me correct you. You say you're lucky to have me. I'm lucky to have you. After 8 seasons of being on TV, running around the world, turning around hotels and chasing bed bugs, the industry has really embraced me, and I am blessed and privileged to be in a position where I have an opportunity to show how great this world is of hospitality, so that I'm still invited onto your show and still invited to do speaking engagements across the hospitality industry, and even have an article in Lodging Magazine. It's really, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, it's a privilege, and it's something when I first created the show, I wasn't so sure, I'd be able to come back.
Yeah.
And that I'm not only able to come back, that I'm, developing, managing, and owning hotels, and people are embracing me. It's a privilege.
It's really amazing what you've been able to accomplish, and I've really loved watching it. And as we were talking about before we turned on the microphone, what a pleasure it's been to see you grow in this industry. And
so I'm very fortunate that I'm embraced. But to answer your question, what's happened, and I'll really kind of pinpoint the moment it happened. And we all know the brand, and I won't mention the brand. When there was one brand that finally woke up and said, you know what, I'm going to pip out all these owners that aren't doing my brand any good, who's killing the name of my brand, and I'm going to force them to renovate or get out.
Right.
And there was a company that did it, and there were 400 to 600 hotels that they literally got rid of over a period of years. And that really forced the other brands to step up and do the same.
Right.
And then you saw this renaissance in the last 10 years of these 3-star brands that are now my favorite brands, and I travel to them, and I love the 3 stars, and they're pre-breakfast, comfortable beds, everything I want, hot water. And they really did, I think, not only the industry a service and the employees a service, but they really did the business traveler a service, because I'll take a 3-star hotel over a 4-star hotel any day when I'm traveling. But the collateral damage was these owners who thought they were going to play the system and say, you know what, I don't need a brand, and I don't have the money, and I'm not going to take out a loan, so screw them, and I'll just go my own way. And these were people that were in real estate, or these were people that thought they were smarter than the hospitality industry. And they went it their way, and they tried to nickel and dime it, and they got in trouble.
Right.
And then they call me, and they think I'm going to have a magic wand, and I'm going to sprinkle fairy dust, and I'm going to save their life. And the ones that listen, the ones who really I'm able to, whether it be through sheer force of being direct or by just creative measures, those people who listen to me they do one of 3 things. They either reposition it, reinvest, and they're successful. They either reinvest slowly over a period of time and are successful, or they don't listen to a damn thing I say. They gave me the finger, and then they lose their hotel.
Yeah, that's a really strange thing. That's a strange thing to me, Anthony, that they would call you. They want to supposedly have your help, but then they're so damn stubborn, and they don't want to listen to anything that you say.
Well, you know what's so funny? I really thought it would get easier, and this is the God honest truth. I thought it would get easier, that people would see how I'm at, be prepared for me, and really be ready to change. But what I'm finding is some people think I'm going to give them free stuff, and the format in their mind, there is no format, but in their mind the format is I come in, I pick on things, I develop a plan, I yell at them a little bit, I cry with them, and I leave.
Right.
And what I tell every owner that tries to play me is, you have to earn me getting emotionally attached. I will leave. When I did the Fire Island show, people think I was playing around. One guy actually texted me. The guy I met at a poker table in Vegas one night. I was happened to be shooting in Vegas, and I like to play poker from time to time. And we became friends. He's a Brooklyn guy, and I gave him my cell number, and he texted me recently. He said, "You know what? You're starting to go Hollywood. This whole thing when you were in Fire Island, you were on a dock waiting to leave, and then all of a sudden your crew came, and you didn't leave, and the owner came. That was all staged." And I didn't get upset and curse or anything on the text, but I just simply said that is incorrect. I worked really hard, and it was 100% real. So the show is real, and people think that they're going to come in as some kind of format, and they're going to get free stuff. What happens is I come in and I work really hard to develop a plan, and I get emotionally invested if they're emotionally invested. But if they're not emotionally invested, I have no worries in leaving or quitting, or not quitting, but leaving or just not helping. Now, these are people who have been real estate investors or have been, a million other things, and they think the hotel industry is easy.
Right.
It's not easy. It's very, very, very difficult. And I'm developing a hotel in Daytona, and, I have 4 of the best people, the best revenue manager, the best general manager, the best beverage guy, and the best food guy in the industry, bar none. You put those 4 people in the room, and I have the best team in the industry. 27 years, and I was able to find the best people, and they'll always, thank God, they'll always come work with me. But it takes a long time, a lot of connections, and to go through a lot of people that aren't good to get to the people who are really, really good. And owners that come into our industry think they can play the guest. Well, when a guest is turning on a shower and they don't have hot water, when a guest is laying in a bed and it's not clean, when a guest gets rude service, the guests, 90% of them just leave quietly and they never come back.
Absolutely, yeah.
If a tree falls in the woods, do you hear? If you don't hear it, doesn't mean it fell.
Right.
It's the same thing with a guest. Mm-hmm. Just because the guest doesn't complain doesn't mean the guest, isn't upset. And our industry is about not fixing problems. Our industry is about preventing problems. Mm-hmm. Okay, I went 2 years without a bad comment card. Nobody believes me, but it's true. The Lucerne Hotel, we never had a bad comment card in 2 years because my entire team was focused on preventing problems. And when the guest was a little inconvenienced, it was fixed so quickly it never came a complaint. So the people that you're not dealing with that I see every day are people that are on the fringe of the industry.
Right.
I wouldn't call them hoteliers. And I'm trying to make them a hotelier.
Well, it would be hard to call them. Yeah, it'd be hard to call them hoteliers because they seem to have a basic lack of knowledge about the business. It's the same thing as that guy that loves a meal, so he buys the restaurant, or likes hanging out at a bar and buys the bar. They don't have any understanding of how the business operates, and then they look at you shocked that their business is failing. It's a strange thing.
Well, I don't think the lack of knowledge doesn't make you a hotelier. I think the lack of heart. Because if you have heart and you care about people and you listen to people, you don't have to know the first thing about a PMS system, POS system, a GDS system, a RevPAR system, a star report. None of those things mean anything. But if you're taking care of people and you're respecting the general manager, you're a hotelier. And even if you don't know the details of our business. Yeah. And if I buy a car dealership tomorrow, and I treat everybody with respect and get the best general manager of my car dealership, I'm still a car dealer.
Right. True. But
now, if I go in there and I yell at people, and I scream at people, and I try to beat people, then I'm not only not a car dealer, I'm not a businessman, I'm not a good human being.
Right.
So, listen, in every walk of life, I mean, you do what you do, and people think it's easy. If I try to do what you do, I'd probably, within a week, would fail miserably. Everything you do, they don't call it the hospitality business, or show business or the radio business because it's not a business. It's a business and you got to work it. And the number one priority of work is respect.
Right. I
come into every show, every hotel with nothing but respect and love in my heart. My personality is my personality. My attitude depends on the owner.
Right.
So my attitude is, I'm a direct guy from Brooklyn who knows a thing or two about hotels, but my attitude depends on how you treat me. If you treat me and my crew like you're slave animals, you're probably gonna have a long day with me.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I could see that you go in every single episode with an open mind. And there are some folks that want to fight against what you're trying to accomplish, and then you got to get rough with them. And then there are some of those folks that seem genuinely confused, overwhelmed, and are desperate for your help, but just simply don't know what to do. I think most particularly about these owners in Myrtle Beach, the Carnival Inn, where you were trying to help them, and they had such a basic lack of understanding on how to run a business, and you just approached it with love and compassion and got them to try to understand what they really had to do.
Right. Listen, like some people, I just had this meeting in my own business yesterday. And this marketing guy, I think he thought I was being, an asshole. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't. I was just asking questions. And it really felt like, because I'm from New York, he thinks that I treat every job or every neighborhood or every hotel I develop like I know more because I'm from New York. And that really is insulting to me, because when I go to every hotel, whether it be my own hotels or whether it be a hotel I'm doing for the show or a consulting gig, I don't about anything that I've done before. Mm-hmm. Your notes just is my computer, so I don't have to really think about it. It's just there.
Right.
So if I need it, it's there. But I go into every hotel like I have no idea what I'm doing, with a complete blank slate. I was in a meeting the other day, and I was doing some design work, and my partner said, "That was a shit show." And I go, "Excuse me?" He goes, "I've never seen a bigger shit show in my life." I said, "You mean the creative process of going through people's opinions, mm-hmm. and no matter if you're the one-year college student or the 30-year hotelier, that everybody is able to communicate and disagree until we come to an agreement? You mean that? Yeah, okay, if you call that a shit show, fine. I call that creativity and being respectful."
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. And I think it's really funny. You talk about being from Brooklyn. I got the same problem because I lived in Brooklyn for almost 20 years and I'm a New York cat. Wherever I go, people accuse me of being way too direct and, way too New York and that sort of thing. But I think that we have a way of communicating clearly that the average person can't seem to handle in a lot of ways. It's a strange phenomenon.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? I really try to use words mm-hmm. that, and I don't do it on purpose, I just instinctually do it, is I have 4 days to be there. Now, if I'm going to be on something for 6 months, I'm probably not going to use words that immediately allow you to commit to me. Mm-hmm. Meaning, I may not say to someone that I'm working with 6 months in a consulting gig, "Hey, man, you really don't know what you're doing. You need to stop. You need to think about what you're about to say to me, because if you don't, you're going to fail." Now, if I have 4 days, I have to use that kind of communication, because if I leave and I don't force you into the corner and force you to make a decision on what you want to do, you want to live or you want to die, mm-hmm. then when I leave, you're probably not going to be successful. If I have 6 months to develop a relationship with you, to take you out to lunch, to really understand how you take, and really get to understand what words can really force you to maybe change behavior, I'm willing to do that because I'm a businessman. But I have 4 days, man. I don't have a lot of time to take you to lunch.
Right. But there's also got to be an element of having to be direct to the point and a larger personality than you would be in person because of what's going on in terms of it, you being on camera and having that entertainment purpose of it. So how much does that play into it?
Zero.
Interesting.
And nobody believes me that's not on the set. If you don't believe me, you're right to the set. Anybody that comes to my show, I'll give you an example. I have a friend who DM'd me. And I looked him up online, and I realized he's an A-list celebrity, A-list director in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. I won't mention his name. He's done everything that you can ever imagine. I name a show, and you will know it. Mm-hmm. He's working on 3 huge projects now that will come out and will be all over the news. So I'm like, wow, this guy really likes my show. So I texted him, hey, if you're in New York, I'll buy you breakfast. Anyway, I bought him breakfast. I went out to LA. He bought me lunch. We're now friends.
Cool.
And I just saw him last week. I just saw him last week in Beverly Hills. I was at the Peninsula, and we had lunch. We had breakfast. And he's really become a dear friend. I brought my daughter to his set because my daughter wants me. He's come to my set. Now, this is a man that has been in Hollywood for 30 years, has Steven Spielberg on speed dial, and he said to me, and it's one of the greatest compliments I've ever received. He stood on my set, and he looked at me, and he goes, that wasn't scripted, was it? I go, no. He goes, oh, my God. How did that just happen? You had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that was the greatest TV I've ever seen in 1 hour. Like, how did you do that? And you know what I said?
Yeah.
I just showed up.
Yep. Yeah.
and the cameras pull back, and the directors and producers understand how I work.
Mm-hmm.
So the director sometimes wants me to do things I just won't do.
Right.
And we have a good relationship, but the thing that seems to be good television, but to me is not respectful of the situation, I will not do. I've had several situations like that, and producers I will never work with again because they try to force you to do something. One of the reasons reality television gets a bad rap is because it's very difficult to have a budget, to have a schedule, and to have to take this budget, come in on time, take a schedule, make sure you break people on time, make sure you give them lunch on time, make sure we get all the content we need without a script. It's almost impossible to do it.
Right.
So Hotel Impossible really shouldn't be named because Hotel Impossible. It should be named Reality Impossible.
Right.
Because the reason it's gotten a bad name is simply because it's almost impossible. And the thing that I am the most proud of, bar none, and that I will take, as a big feather in our team's cap, is that there's not a word or scene or thing that I regret in the 104 shows. And that's because it's a real show. And Travel Channel has never once, not a second, asked me to do something, be more funny, be less this, be less aggressive, be more aggressive. Not once.
Wow, that's really spectacular.
Once.
Yeah, because
not once.
that's unbelievable because I know people in the reality show business. I got a buddy that edits them, and it seems like most of them are manufactured. So yeah, obviously, me and a more sophisticated public comes into it thinking, it can't be true with some of the scenarios that you run into. So it's great to know that you're giving us your word that every little bit of thing that we see on the screen is organic and happening in real time. Basically.
You know what? Anybody that's been on this on my set says the same thing. My friend Kevin was there. He's the captain in charge of all the detectives in New York, and he said to me, he's obviously a very smart guy and has seen everything, and he said to me, he was exhausted. He was on Fire Island watching the show on set, and he was there maybe, 6 hours, and he literally, I go, dude, we're on the ferry back. I go, dude, what's the matter? He goes, I'm so tired. I go, all you did was watch me. And he goes, I was tired watching you.
Yeah, well, you definitely bring a lot of energy to it. It's amazing that you're like that Energizer bunny that just keeps going and going and going until everybody submits and learns.
Submits, that's a good word. I'm a UFC fan, so submits is a good word. I'm going to see the Ronda Rousey fight. So
it's at the that'll be at the end of the year in Vegas, right? December 30th.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to Vegas with my daughter because she's a big UFC fan.
Well, hopefully the fight will go well, and since this is going to air after that, I hope you had an amazing time. And speaking about things that happened in the past, Anthony, you got to do Chillcation with the good folks of the Travel Channel, and you got to check out these ice hotels around the world. Tell me a little bit about how cool is that? That's a bucket list item for me.
Well, I'll tell you something. Well, it was really literally cool. It was 4 days in 3 countries, 4 ice hotels, 18 hours a day, and we never worked harder and had more fun in our lives. It was really literally the thrill of a lifetime. I never even thought that I'd want to go to, Scandinavia,
right,
and go above the Arctic Circle and do this. Like that would never be on my bucket list. And oh my God, not only should it be on your bucket list, it was like the greatest thing. We went crabbing on, we went crabbing. We went sledding, or dog sleds. We ate in a nice restaurant. I slept in a nice hotel.
Mm-hmm.
We literally built a nice hotel when I was there. We literally drilled into the lake and built the blocks for the ice hotel. I learned what a housekeeper does in an ice hotel, how an ice hotel is cleaned.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole different housekeeping cart. It's a whole different toolkit. It's really, really cool. We had some of the best drinks I've ever had. Everything was made out of ice, whether it be the beds, whether it be the glasses, whether it be the chandeliers. Absolutely gorgeous. I got picked up by a dog sled instead of a limo and driven all the way to my hotel, 45 minutes on the back. It was just amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
So do the housekeepers just chisel out the dirt and then, spray some water on it to freeze again? How's that work?
They rake it out with a metal rake, and they just have several tools that are pretty cool. You wouldn't expect to see in a hotel.
That's pretty cool.
We saw the Northern Lights.
Nice.
Just really something that, and it was just fun. I won't give it away, but I will just tell you, in Finland, have you been to Finland?
Nah.
Okay, Finland.
But I have been to Bay Ridge, though, so it's about the same thing, right? Yeah.
What'd you say, Bay Ridge?
Bay Ridge, yeah. they got nice Christmas lights there.
It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So I will just say this.
Yeah.
In Finland, every house, every restaurant, Burger King has a sauna. They say sauna. We say sauna, but they say sauna.
Right.
Every single person in Finland, bar none, poor or rich, has a sauna. Just like we have a toilet, they have a sauna.
Nice.
And it's just part of their religion, basically. It's part of what they do to feel healthy. And I will just say that I went in a sauna. There's only one sauna like this of its kind in the world, and I went in it, and it was the coolest friggin' thing I've ever done.
What made that thing so freaking cool?
10,000 feet in the air. How's that?
That's pretty. That's pretty awesome. You can almost reach out and touch those northern lights there.
Yeah, it was a very dynamic show. Very, as someone who saw it, one of the people at Travel Channel who saw it said, "You look like a 6-year-old in a candy store." And I was like, because I was having fun. I mean, when you're having fun, you don't mind working 18 hours a day and traveling all over to get it. And again, there's no script. There's no, okay, Anthony, go in the restaurant and, try so-and-so and, say this. I go in, I say, "Chef, what should I eat?" He gives me what I should eat, and I react to it.
That's excellent. That's my favorite thing to ask chefs about. Instead of ordering anything that I think I want, I ask them what they think I should have. That's really the true way to eat when you go out to a restaurant, I think.
Yeah, I do that almost 100% of the time.
I love it. All right. So before we start to wrap up here, and I do want to hear about this other show that you're doing, I want to know, what is it that you teach them, all of these subjects that you do when you go around the world helping these hotels? You teach them a lot of stuff, but is there something that maybe they've taught you over the years?
Yeah. I'll tell you what I learned from the show as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
That people are good.
Yeah.
People are good people, and they allow money stress, family stress to make them act in ways that affect their employees in very derogatory and very unfair ways. Mm-hmm. So when people take on businesses, they get so scared and they get so paranoid that they go from good people to being completely over their heads, and then they seem to be very, very bad people. What I've learned is if you listen, you push a little bit, sometimes push a lot, and you break them and you put a mirror in front of their face and say, "Listen, this is who you become. This is not who you are, but this is who you become. If that's what you want to be, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
If you're willing to change, that could be selling the hotel, that could be going bankrupt, that could be putting money in, that could be asking for friends for money, or that can simply be speaking to people properly. Whatever it is, because that's the thing about this show that is different than most shows. We don't take the let's turn this around and fix it approach. What we do is let's take the truth, and wherever the truth brings us is where we wound up. And whether it be me leaving, whether it be me renovating, whether it be me telling them to go screw themselves, or whether me give them a hug and a kiss, wherever the truth leads us is where we go. And sometimes we go to Alaska and we can't fix a pool and we leave and there's no water in the pool. It happens. That's what happened.
Right.
I didn't know there's one pool guy in all of Alaska. I didn't know that. But that's where we went, and that's what happened. So what I found is circumstances are typically change people's behavior. But once you change the circumstance, they literally go back to who they were. It's like going on vacation after a long year. You know, you don't really become somebody different. You just become who you're really supposed to be.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's what I learned. I learned that most people are good. And I also learned that some people are just really friggin' bad. Some people just wake up in the morning to be miserable creatures and make everybody around them miserable. And I don't have enough time or enough degrees to figure out why, but that's the rare bird. That's not the common. That's not what I found to be the common denominator. That is very, very rare. But there are people who I'll just give you an example real quick.
Please.
There's a show you'll see in 2017, a Hotel Impossible show. And let's just say this hotel is in very bad shape and the employee was just really poorly treated.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave the owner respect and really gave the owner a platform to just do the right thing and say the right thing. He said exactly the opposite of what I was hoping he would say. And I would just say, and this is not trying to sell the show, it was the most intense, most aggressive, and I'd say most, for entertainment, I guess you guys will like it, entertaining moment in the history of Hotel Impossible. I literally came out of my skin.
Wow.
Like, and then the one thing you won't see on the show, I broke down. I broke down in my trailer.
Wow.
Like a 3-year-old, I sobbed. My assistant came in, Maria, and then my producers came in, and my director came in, and my director literally grabbed me and hugged me, until I stopped crying. That's how upset I became at how poorly these employees are being treated, that there's animals like this out there that treat people that poorly. And like I said, it's very rare, but it happens. And it just happened. Literally, the last scene I did on TV this year was probably the most epic scene we've ever done because it was real. It was real.
Mm-hmm. And that's really what it's all about. It's cutting through all that BS to get down to real. And that's what I think owners respond to, what you respond to, and all of your viewers respond to. But speaking of things that people are responding to, you're now developing this Streamline Hotel in Daytona. We touched on that a little bit earlier. You're developing it, you're a partner in it, and your management company, RGO, is going to be managing it. But what are some of the things you're thinking about that really plays into the customer behavior trends that you know are critical going forward in our business?
Keep it simple, stupid.
Right.
Give them hot water, a really comfortable bed, a very interesting bar menu. I'm bringing the best bartender in the world. Literally, he was voted best bartender in the world. Hector Alvarez. And my brand is the unexpected detail.
Mm-hmm.
So there'll be unexpected things throughout the hotel, whether it be little notes of history, whether it be little amenity, whether it be something in the closet, but it's not a 5-star hotel. It's a historic hotel. We had lots of restrictions on how big the rooms could be, lots of restrictions on what kind of things we can put in the room because of size. So instead of really having this opulent hotel, we have a smaller hotel that will give you, hopefully put smiles on your face at every corner. Not over the top, very, very simple, service oriented. But really, anytime I take it, and the reason I got involved, to be perfectly honest with you, it's historic property, and I really like listening to the walls. When Bill Francina signed the documents to incorporate NASCAR on the roof of this hotel, we're going to tell you why this hotel. It was a bomb shelter. We're going to tell you why it was a bomb shelter. We're going to tell you why in the last 100 years this hotel has been significant in Daytona. And we're going to make it fun, and the uniforms are going to be very specific. And it's just going to be, listen, there's no secret to hospitality. I just got a call from a good friend of mine who's in the hospital, and he kept on talking about his urologist, and all he kept on talking about was the service. And he called me at 1 o'clock in the morning, and he called me, and he called my wife to let her know I was okay at 3:30 in the morning. And then on Sunday when he was at his daughter's volleyball game, he called me to make sure I was okay. And then when they brought up the food, they asked me, what I wanted, and they got the order wrong, and they brought back the order really quick, and they couldn't apologize enough. And all they talked about was the hospitality of the hospital. He didn't mention one thing about the surgery. He didn't mention one thing about the medicine. He didn't mention one thing about anything other than this place like a 5-star hotel.
Yep.
That is what, whether it be in your industry and what you're doing, you're in my, I'm in your industry. But whatever you're doing, whatever I'm doing, it comes down to the way you treat people. So when you come into our hotel, the Streamline, you will say wow, and you will say wow not simply because of things, but because of the way you feel.
Well, that's great,
and that's
because to me, that is really the way that the hospitality industry is right now. Everyone in this business, for the most part, are very strong professionals. And I say this a lot when I do my speaking gigs. We're about 98% the same. It's that human connection, that 2% about how people make you feel and the hospitality you experience that is really what crafts those memories and gets people to want to stay again and again.
Right. And then 15 years ago, or even 10 years ago, I don't think that was true. I think that the recession really blew out a lot of the pretenders. A lot of the director of sales that were long in the tooth and really didn't have a grasp on reality. A lot of the general managers that were still watering their carnations, they got blown out. And
right.
And real hospitality people are in the business. And I agree with you. I stay at 3-star hotels when I'm on the road with my crew, and I stay at 5-star hotels when I'm traveling for pleasure. And I literally stayed in I'll name it, a Holiday Inn Express one night, and the next night I stayed at a 5-star hotel in Beverly Hills. Okay?
Yep.
And the 5-star in Beverly Hills was absolutely great. And the Holiday Inn Express was absolutely great. And I literally forced myself, when I was in the car ride going to the airport, trying to find out what felt better. And I couldn't.
That's great. Yeah, and I think you're right. I think we get caught up a little too much in 3-star designations and 5-star designations. We need to focus more on what hotel are you and can you be the best in that category. And it sounds like you found 2 of them right at the same time.
When my partner said to me what kind of hotel we're going to be, how many stars, I said we're going to be a 3-star, 5-star.
Yeah.
And I looked at him, and he goes, understood. I said, good, no explanation needed.
Yeah, man, I think that's perfectly clear.
I say in my speeches, I ask people, how many people have children? And do you have children, Glenn? Do you have any kids?
I do. I've got 12-year-old twin boys.
Okay, so I have 17-year-old twin girls.
Wow.
And I say, and a 14-year-old girl. And I say to everybody who has kids, and they raise their hands, whoever has kids. Mm-hmm. And I ask this question, and every single time I get the same reaction. I go, how many people gave birth to a 1-star baby? And that's exactly the reaction I get. Everybody laughs.
Yeah. That's great.
Right? Something happens in life that makes you a 3-star person. That you didn't get, you didn't get enough love from your mother. You didn't get enough whatever.
Well, that just makes you a comedian.
What's that?
I said that just makes you a good comedian if you don't get enough love from your mother.
Right, exactly. And so you go around the world, then you go to a hotel, and the hotel is not a great hotel because you're not in a great place in your life. And all of a sudden, this hotel is crap, so you think you can be crap, and you can treat people like crap. So would it be a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star? And this is what I say all the time. Everybody who's ever born is a 5-star baby. Whether you were born tall, whether you were born short, whether you were born white, black, yellow, green, whether you were born handicapped or not, we're all 5-star people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because it's our behavior. And that's the secret of not only I'm writing a book called How to Run Your Business Like a 5-Star Hotel. And whether you're running a hardware store or you're running a hotel, it's not what you do for me. It's how you make me feel.
Yep.
End of story. You know, Maslow in 1943 invented or created Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Well, the first basic needs of Maslow's hierarchy is exactly the foundation of the hotel business. It's exactly the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Keep people safe, keep people secure, keep people fed. You know, that's the secret. So whether you're staying in a 5-star hotel or a 1-star hotel, whether you're a billionaire or you're on welfare, we all need to eat, we all need to be safe, and we all need to be secure. That is it. And if you get those things right, and I think our industry has really done a great job in the last 10 years of really getting that right and letting the other stuff, the rooftops and the and maybe a really creative menu or maybe a really creative smell, be the extra, not be the foundation. I think we went back to the foundation of human behavior, and then we built from there. Not where, for a while, I think we got lost and just gave people shit and forgot that we got to treat people with respect before we give them stuff.
I love that approach. It's really smart, sensible, and really helps define how us as hoteliers can really do our job better to connect with guests. Now, before you go, I know you got another show coming up, 5-Star Secrets. You're going to places like Mexico, Vegas, and New York to show the best in the hotel business. What'd you learn doing that?
I didn't hear. What was the end of that question?
Yeah, you did. You got another show coming up, 5-Star Secrets, where you're going to places like Mexico, Vegas, and New York to show the best in the hotel business. Did you learn anything in particular from that? What do we need to know about that particular program?
What I've learned was, it's true, money does not buy happiness, but man, it really gets close. When I went to the one and only in Cabo,
mm-hmm.
and I walk into my $25,000 a night presidential suite, and everybody saluting, literally covering their hearts, saluting us, and I had 18 people at, basically on speed dial. That's when I knew, wow, if this is in heaven, man, this is about as close to heaven as I'm probably ever going to get. And it was spectacular. So what I learned was, the gentleman that was my butler for the suite slept in his uniform, and if I called him at 3 o'clock in the morning for warm milk, he not only popped up, he slept in his uniform in my suite behind the kitchen in a room, and if I called him at 3 o'clock in the morning, he popped up with a smile on his face. And I asked him, I said, I would hate to do that to you. And he goes, please do that. That is my job. That is my honor. That is what I do for a living.
Wow.
I take care of my guests. So we had Hotel Impossible. Hotel Impossible showed you how we show you how people do things wrong and how they should do it right. 5-Star Secrets shows you how hard it is to deliver 5-star service and how hard people work in our industry. People forget we have carpenters, we have designers, we have chefs, we have accountants, we have pilots, we have captains of cruise ships, and they're all in our business. They're all in the hotel business. They're all in the hospitality business. And it really shows you how many smart, really, really, really passionate people there are in our business.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm going to be sure to check that out. And boy, oh boy, this conversation has been going on much longer than I ever expected. I want to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk to you today and learn from you today. And I think I'm going to get out there and try to experience more of those 3-star hotels, or maybe some 1 or 2-star hotels, just to challenge myself a little bit.
You know what? I appreciate what you do for our industry, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you soon and running into you in one of the dozens of conferences we go to.
Yeah, too many Too many events, too many times, but I'll be sure to be tuning into Hotel Impossible on the Travel Channel pretty much whenever I turn on the TV. It seems to be right there. Or go to travelchannel.com and you can watch the shows on demand. I want to thank everybody for listening today. And I want to thank Anthony again and all of you guys for being so awesome. Have a happy and healthy new year. Hope 2017 is getting off to a great start. And I will be back next week. That is, unless I really do decide to go off and experiment in some of those one-star hotels, and you'll never see me again. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks so much for listening to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glen Houseman, online at Roust.media, on Twitter at Travelin Glen, and on Facebook.com/Glen.Houseman. We'll catch you next time.